Okay. Hi everyone. I don't know whether talking in terms of being the last speaker is saving the last for the best. Or I am in an awkward position of trying to sustain your interest until the end of this program. Let me ask a question. How many of you in here are those who are undergraduates, and how many are those who are in the master's program? Anyone in the master's program? All right, that's good. Because I've been teaching MBA for quite a number of years, more than 25 years. And every time I come to class, because my area of specialization is in terms of strategy. So when I come to class, I get this enthusiastic group of students who actually are really dreaming about becoming future business leaders and so on. So when I teach a subject on business strategy, I come into class, and the first week of lecture will be about how do I teach you to be strategic thinkers. Right? Now, of course, when you talk about being in an academic world, the first thing they think about was someone will put up their hands and say, can we sit for a test on determining the level of our strategic thinking ability? Of course, there are questionnaires, right, given or developed to measure your so-called strategic thinking ability and so on. But after all these years of teaching strategy and business strategy for that matter, I can simply say that whatever that I teach in the classroom, it's mere jargon. It's not something that is so complicated. It's not something that is so unique, something that is so abstract that you don't understand. In actual fact, if we think about it, in business and in life, we think about relating strategic thinking to is something that is so intellectual, something so expensive because you have to attend courses, you have to buy books to understand it, or it's something unique and smart, and only those unique and smart so-called people in reality would know what it's all about. So ordinary people like us, the laymen who don't go to school and so on, supposedly do not think strategically, and that's not true. In the academic world, the word strategy is certainly a word reserved for the professors and lecturers when they come to class, and the gurus of strategies as they call it, and it's the buzzword. Supposedly when you use those jargons, you are supposed to be the one with the upper hand on knowing what strategy is all about. And all these concepts, if you see, is being taught in a lot of our classes, all right? Those who have taken business strategy, those who have taken corporate strategy, subjects like strategic management and so on. So you will learn the tools of strategic thinking that is being applied in terms of Michael Porter 5 forces, in terms of SWOT analysis, in terms of PESTEL analysis or PESTEL, in terms of product life cycle and so on. All this seems to be tools that utilize strategic thinking. But is it so complicated? Even in terms of our careers, the young people, the Y generation in the organization today, they like to talk about such words using strategy, strategic, and all these things to ensure that they are in the know about what's going on, all right? And that's the way they can probably impress, all right, their bosses and so on, that they can actually be promoted, okay, so-called. All right, what remains less clear is what the concept of strategic thinking is as it is applied in practice, in reality, like I said. What about the ordinary people who don't go to school? What about your mom who's just a housewife? Don't tell me she didn't think strategically to be able to bring you guys up till you are successful today. So, is it some concept that requires a lot of fuss about? That you have to be so intellectual to talk about it, to understand it, without achieving the kind of detailed understanding of strategic thinking that we have today? We risk introducing yet another, appealing concept to the strategic lexicon, and actually of the relevance to practicing managers. Any thinking that leads to action which is not in line with our goals in life is not strategic thinking. Right? I repeat, any thinking that leads to action which is not in line with our goals in life is not strategic thinking. In other words, if we take action that is not related to anything that we want to achieve, then that's not strategy. It's just an action. It's just a habit of doing things. And strategic thinking is therefore not that complex. It is also not the preserve of just the elites of businesses. Now let me ask you a question, and be honest about it. Today, this morning, when you guys woke up, did any one of you forgot to brush your teeth? Anyone? No raise of hand. Sure. Okay, all of you did brush your teeth. See, we do things and take actions every day, which is automatic and habitual. The first thing we get up in the morning, we wash our face and we brush our teeth. Now, what kind of toothbrush were you using? Some don't use the toothbrush, they use the other kind of whatever. Alright? How often do you change your toothbrush? Have you been using your toothbrush for a year now? Those who change their toothbrush 3 months? Once? No show of hands? Good. That's 2 months. What about those in 1 month? 1? More hands coming up. Okay. So, that's with respect to the toothbrush you use. But what about the toothpaste that you use? Are you using a toothpaste that's for the gums? Are you using toothpaste that's supposed to give you fresh breath? Are you using a toothpaste that gives you a way to overcome your acidity? If you've got sensitive teeth and so on? The reason why I am giving you these circumstances is that if you're particular about the toothbrush that you use, how is it shaped? Is it Oral-B? Is it Colgate? Is it Pepsodent? How often do you change your toothbrush? What kind of toothpaste do you use? If you go to the supermarket and there is another brand of toothpaste on sale, are you just going to drop the one that you usually use and buy the cheaper one on that day? Yes or no? I feel some yes, some no. So if you're particular about the toothpaste that you use and the kind of toothbrush and how often you change your toothbrush and so on, that, my dear audience, is strategic thinking. Why? Because you are associating your actions with a particular goal. Alright? It's an objective that you want to achieve by brushing your teeth. You want your teeth to remain strong, healthy, and would last for a long term. I'm sure you do not want at your teenage age to be wearing false teeth and whatever. Alright? So there's nothing complex about that way of thinking, is it? It's very simple. Whatever that you do, the actions that you take, has got a reason behind it. And the reason is normally associated with a long-term perspective. It's not short-term, it's a long-term perspective. That's how our mothers, who are not educated, can bring us up to be great leaders today in whatever field of profession that we are. Because they are strategic thinkers. They think long-term in terms of bringing up their children, and they have an objective in what they want their children to be, all right? And they do the right things. They take the right action to ensure that, like the former speaker, and what she's gone through, she's been exposed to all the sports and recreation activities, and she is what she is doing, if not for her mom. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is strategic thinking. No fuss about it. Associated with a long-term objective and an action taken to achieve that objective. There is a reason why behind whatever action that you do. A lot of us do that automatically. Really. I mean, today, all right, for breakfast and lunch, what did you eat? What did you eat? Do you eat only when you're hungry? My best friend here said he only eats once a day. I said, I wish I was like you. Okay, the test senior does not. Okay, now, reason is, a lot of us, whenever we're hungry, we see food and we gobble up whatever we want to eat. Now, if you're particular about what we eat, we want food that is of less cholesterol, food that is less of sugar. Anything that is detrimental or harmful for our health, then eating becomes a long-term survival. And the reason behind your eating is for your long-term survival. Now that's strategic thinking. Is that so difficult? I mean, these are all habitual things that we do. But if there is a reason behind those actions, and it's a long-term perspective with respect to what we want to achieve, therefore it becomes strategic thinking. Right? Now, how do strategists produce strategic insights? Using the process of strategic thinking. The process is so simple. So simple that people sometimes prefer to ignore it and instead spend too much money calling consultants from overseas and so on. Okay? Now, strategic means what is essential, what is important to the strategy or is in line with the strategy. Right? This means that any individual within to acts or plans without taking into account the overall holistic strategy or long-term purpose behind the action is not thinking strategically. So when you talk about strategic thinking, remember it's about taking action. And you're not just taking any action, you're taking well-planned pattern of actions which has a holistic approach. It's not just about brushing your teeth. It's not just about eating. It's not just about how you interact and network with others. Okay? It's a holistic perspective of actions that you take and knowing the repercussions of those actions and how they are interrelated and affecting each other. And also, it has a long-term reason behind those actions. Why do I want to waste my time lunch with my friends? Why don't I just go to one small corner, alright, with a sandwich in hand and read a book? That's strategic thinking. Okay? There's a long-term perspective behind it. You gain knowledge, you eat less, and you gossip less. Yes or no? Okay, so a strategy is a well-planned pattern of action. It's not just one action. All these actions that you do is coordinated and interrelated, and they interact with each other to ensure that they will lead you to some long-term objective that you want to achieve. And it's normally actions that promise a winning future position. You want to achieve something. There's something that you want to make that dream a reality. Somehow, somewhere, sometime. Alright? That's what it's all about. So strategic thinking is actually a mental model. Long-term future intent focus will lead to competitive advantage. Okay, so strategic thinking is action-oriented. You don't take action, nothing can be done. You will not be successful. It's successful-oriented. You cannot be successful without help, without knowledge. And it's a long-term perspective. It's always a long-term perspective. That means it's future-oriented. What you do today will determine what we do tomorrow. So, from the academic perspective, this is what we normally do in terms of achieving our strategic intent through strategic thinking. Okay, so it's conceptually imaginative, systematic, and opportunistic in order for you to achieve success. Okay, so ask yourself today, am I applying strategic thinking to my career and in my organizations? So what's the fuss about? Just go ahead and apply strategy.